Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we'll talk to one of the most successful social media influencers in the country. We'll hear her amazing journey next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home. We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network. We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Well, as you saw in that open, I was a TV reporter for many years. On an average night, I might reach 150,000 people on the news on Fox 4. But these days, a teenage girl with a webcam on her phone can reach millions of people and give makeup tips. So what's wrong with this picture? I think the media is changing. And to talk about that today, Tanya Foster, she's an influencer and a good friend. Thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to be here.
Okay, so before we get into social media and how you became a very successful influencer, I want to talk about your TV career, because you actress, movies, TV commercials, modeling. Tell me about that.
Well, okay, I would say that TV career was like a little T and a little V. So just, I mean, it was always a passion for me. Mm-hmm. And I think had I, when back in the day when we went to college, we just like opened up the college catalog and said, I'm going here. And then you just studied whatever, unless you really knew what you wanted to do. For me, that became education. And so I think in my heart, though, I always wanted to be an actor. And I always knew that I wanted to share stories. And that just wasn't my path at that time. And I kind of went into education, which if you think about it, when you're a teacher, you're standing up in front of a group of people and you're influencing them, right? Yes. And back in the day, that nobody knew what that was. No one had any idea. So fast forward, I go through my life. I wound up getting married and having kids and doing all the things that where life takes you. And at the time that we were about to be empty nesters, I thought, what is my next act in life? What is this thing? And that was for us, our last one was leaving for college to go to Baylor University, and that was 2014. And so at the kind of 2013 time frame, I was thinking, and I've done many jobs and had careers and being stay-at-home mom, and all the things that I'd done were the sum total of where do I go from here? And I thought, what is this thing called blogging that I see young 20-year-olds doing? They're doing a great job, but I mean, quite frankly, do I need a 20-year-old telling me what to go buy at Forever 21? No, right. I don't. And I was in my 40s, and I thought, I have something to say. And ignorance is bliss. I had my website designer who I'd worked with at the Dallas International Film Festival, which I used to actually run, build me a website, and I said, I'm just going to start blogging, and I'm just going to start telling a story, and I'm just going to tell my story, which became a lifestyle blog about fashion, beauty, lifestyle, and travel. And I just started going, and it's a little bit like being a racehorse with blinders on. You just start running, you just start going, and then after a while you'll get traction, and then you'll get followers. And that, the time was much more about blogging. Now it's much more about social media and influencing, like you said, all the young girls being on and doing everything with their cameras. There's, pictures. And then after a while, when I tell you, I wrote for a solid year, that first year, before any brand approached me. If you are true to yourself, they will come find you.
Do you remember the first time that something went viral, or you're like, wow, I'm good at this?
And listen, I'm still waiting for it to go viral.
You have countless followers across the country.
I do. You can't get in the comparison game. I feel very grateful and fortunate that I am where I am and that I've built what I've built. And it's all by just being myself, quite frankly. And what you're doing is you're just helping other people solve problems. And if you do it correctly and answer your questions, they'll just stick with you. I think we were visiting a little bit earlier before we went on air, is that I learned to lean in during COVID, because I think we found ourselves in a very isolated place. And I thought, if I'm feeling that way, there are other people feeling that way. And then Instagram stories really took hold. And I think that's where probably I have my biggest traction. I still blog 5 days a week. I still post on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all the social media that goes along with it. But I leaned into Instagram stories, and people really started feeling like I was their friend, or they were my friend. Listen,
Yes.
that helped me just as much as it helped them.
Well, I know your brand is important to you, and the brands that you support are important. How do you go about choosing the brands that you align your brand with?
So for me personally, the way I make that decision is, and if it happens organically, is truly the best way. Let's just use Revision Skincare as an example, who I became a brand ambassador for. I was already using the product line because my dermatologist recommended it to me, and I really liked it. And so I just started talking about it on Instagram and Instagram stories and did a blog post on them, and the brand noticed and reached out and said, hey, we noticed that you talk about our brand a lot. We'd like to work with you. Those are the best ways to do brand ambassadorships or collaborations, if you will, because you are organically liking the brand already. And then that leads to other brands saying, for example, she's talking about anti-aging. Wonder if we can talk to her about a brand collaboration. So my personal, I would say, threshold for that, or how I look at it, is if I would spend money on that and if I would use it, then I'm willing to talk about it. If it's something that I would never spend money on myself, I'm not going to take that brand collaboration, because my audience is going to call me out on it.
Right.
They do. They get to know you. And why would I ask anyone to spend their hard-earned money on something I don't believe in?
Right. Are there influencers out there that will support a product, but they never use the product? I mean, is that a thing?
100%.
Yeah.
But sure, there are. I don't, I listen, I try to stay in my lane and do what I do.
Yeah.
I can't worry about everybody else. But I'm sure that they do. And, that goes to truth in advertising,
Yeah.
quite frankly, and that's all regulated. Anytime you're paid to talk about a product on any platform, you need to use the hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored. And if you don't disclose that, you can get in big trouble. So
Yes.
I play by the rules.
And you're the person that the media turns to for lifestyle advice. I went on your YouTube channel, and there's just dozens and dozens of clips of you, being interviewed on television. That's got to be fun too.
It is fun. I think that was where I wanted to be an actor and / model came into it. I was like, oh wait, I get to be on camera and on TV after all. Great, fantastic. Let me just step up to the plate and talk about what I know.
And you didn't have to start in the small markets and claw your way up and cover murder stories and fires and all the stuff that
Hey, I'm
reporters
still
have to go
available.
through.
We can still do that.
Okay, so one of the things I love about you, and I had a chance to go through a lot of your social media, is that you're extremely transparent. And in fact, one of the clips that I'm very fond of shows you without any makeup at all. Let's go ahead and roll that
Oh
clip.
gosh.
This is absolutely no makeup, no filter. Just got out of the shower, washed my hair. I'm gonna let it dry out a little bit with this microfiber towel. And then I'm gonna brush it out and use my trusty Dyson hair dryer. Y'all, I know these are expensive, but they are worth the investment because they dry your hair in half the time. Okay, vitamin C is a preventative for you against the sun's harmful rays and getting all that skincare damage. The long-term damage from long ago is already done. You got to get that off aesthetically. Always use your extra product on your hands and your arms. Don't waste product. But this is helping prevent future damage. Only use one vitamin C product. Don't use this and another vitamin C and another vitamin C. So when I trade out product, this will be my vitamin C now. So eyes and face are done. Now, always end with your SPF. Always. It needs to be the last thing on your face before you start doing your makeup, because it's what's protecting you. Even if you have SPF in your foundation, you still need to apply SPF. So this is going to be a little bit green, and green diffuses red. Okay, the thing about these creams is you have to use your fingers. You cannot use a beauty blender or a brush to apply them, because they use your body heat to activate. So see how that came out green, but now it's kind of turning the color of my skin. When I first met with them, I thought that was like some kind of magic trick. I was like, what is going on? And it feels like a moisturizer more than anything else. And I will say that I think these creams are more of the light coverage. This is not going to be a heavy makeup look. Sometimes I just wear CC cream by itself. Today, let's use, I'm liking this one, the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes. Well, let's try this one. I'm going to take this darker color. This is the Pillow Talk palette, and clearly I like that color right there. I'm going to take the dark, and this is not a very dark color, because again, it's daytime. And I'm going to get the ends of my brush in there. I'm just going to come out here and go underneath. Makes your eyes pop. Just a little color right there. See? And then you can come up here and kind of come into your corner. Make a fish face. And then, you know, you don't just blush on your cheeks, right? So you just kind of put it all over for some even color. So I'll add this. And then always finish with a finishing spray. Mary Kay makes a great one, which I don't have up here. It's in my purse. They make a great one. Charlotte Tilbury makes Airbrush Flawless. And then I love Urban Decay All Nighter. So I'll kind of list them all with you. And what you do with a finishing spray, pull your hair back. Let me make sure it's squirting. Yeah, it is. And do like 2 or 3 squirts over your entire face when you're totally done. That is it. Every single thing will be linked for you. Thanks for watching that entirely too long routine.
Well, I have to applaud you because I think it takes courage to show up, you being your true self. What was the reaction to that video?
That went really well. I was trying to remember what I was doing. I think that was during the time of COVID when we were all at home and isolated. And I think I had gotten so many requests of, could you just like do all your skincare and all your makeup for me? And Jeff, the hard part for me is I tend to err on the side of, doesn't everyone know how to do that? But they don't, or they don't know what sequence to put skincare on, or that but your SPF has to layer on top where it's not doing you any good.
Right.
And so I was like, sure, I will. And I think I did that. Everything I do is off the cuff. Nothing is scripted. So when you see me digging around in my makeup drawer, I was like horrified. I'm like, what am I digging for? I'm digging for the mascara that I just want to put on that day. So I was live that day, and I went from like I just got out of the shower to I'm about to walk out the door.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, we edited that down. And so the ability,
like an hour long.
the ability to do that and focus on what you're trying to do and educate your viewer, I mean, that was a feat.
Walk and talk and chew gum.
Okay, we've got about a minute left.
Okay.
Final thoughts. What do you want to leave the audience with?
I just want to leave the audience with that I love what I do. I wish we were discussing before we came on air that like truly feel blessed and thankful and grateful that I get paid to just be me and share my life. And if I can help anyone, I am just so thankful that I did. And I'm just glad to be here. And thank you for having me. What made you want to do this?
Wait a minute, whose show is this? You know, I love this part of my life the most because for all those years of TV news, I was often telling a depressing story. And so to be able to put a spotlight on cool people like you doing wonderful things in the community and making a difference, that's a real blessing.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Well, you've been wonderful. We're going to end with your website. TanyaFoster.com is the website. Follow her on all of her platforms. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.